Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy Of War and Death, written by Nick Graydon. Swings steps into the bar, his bones weary from long days and constant need of his attention recently. Since humanity had joined the stars, Death had come into contact with others of his kind, each a different manifestation of the end of life, tasked to escort races to the beyond. While all of the deaths shared similar powers, such as the ability to be many places at once, how they accomplished their tasks and their physical manifestations differed wildly. Swings had been given his name by a death named Chubbs due to Swings' soul harvesting method, and as he glanced around the room, he found his naming friend seated a few tables away and moved to join him. Chubbs wasn't fat, but took the name himself as he was the first, though not the last, amongst the stars that ate the souls of the deceased. He was a large, red oval creature, cartoonily similar to his tasked race, and was currently using his oversized mouth to swing down several drinks at once. Swings nodded to him, and Hansy, another death-colored blue that lovingly caressed the souls of his race and carried them beyond in delicate hands. Swings groaned as he used his scythe to help him to his seat, and then banished it to an elsewhere. "Been a long day, huh, Swings?" Chubbs said. It wasn't a question, just a statement. "Yeah," Swings said. "Wish they'd hurry up and end this war." Chubbs gave a bark of laughter that held no humor. He was the death of the race the humans were fighting. Both sides were getting more than they bargained for, and, as a result, both Swings and Chubbs were overworked. Neither cared who won. While they were deaths of their respective races, such matters were worldly and mortal, concerns that did not interfere with their plane of existence. They drank in silence for a while before Hansy decided to ask a question he'd wondered about for a while. "So you banish that scythe of yours every time you come in here, but you could easily just fold it into your robes, or lay it on the ground, or even check it at the door. Where exactly do you send that thing?" Swings took another long pull from his mug and sighed contentedly. "Off to get sharpened," he finally said. "Got some essence of me broke off to sharpen the scythes at all times. Another part that focuses on combat training. Humans are stubborn." Chubbs and Hansy just looked at each other before Hansy interrupted Swings drinking again. What do you mean?" Swings would have smiled if he had lips. Instead, a snort came out through the nasal holes in his head. "Humans don't want to go to the beyond. They put up one hell of a fight unless they'd had a very fulfilling life, and are ready. Young folks, especially those who die in war, are extremely obstinate about the whole affair. Plus, they don't fight fair. Mean bastards they are." Chubbs scoffed. "Now you're just complaining. We all have times when we work a lot. There is no difference, a human having definitely been sending a lot of work my way." "And what do you mean they fight?" added Hansy. A waiter dropped 3 shots in front of Swings, and he eyed them carefully before picking them up and downing them in quick succession. Then he looked at his friends. "Tell you what, the sun will be up in Thoros 3 in a few hours. Why don't you both join me there?" Thoros 3. The trio found themselves not far behind the human lines in what the humans called a mobile medical station. Here, members of the human race tried to save the lives of those injured in battle. Souls pulsated around every entity like an anima of light surrounding them, as was normal. Some of those on the beds waxed and waned more meekly than others as their tie to the mortal shell weakened. The place was almost a madhouse of activity compared to what either Chubbs or Hansy had ever seen. They stared in wonder as humans calmly yet quickly rushed from place to place. Swings, however, stared across the room until his gaze finally fixated on one individual. His chest was burned around a deep open wound as people worked feverishly trying to stabilize him. "Why do they do this?" Chubbs asked. "It's obvious so many won't make it. Why not let them go? I tried to tell you, they are stubborn, Swings said as he nodded towards the wounded soldier who had caught his eye. It is a time for that one. Go ahead and try take him. Maybe you'll see. Chubb stepped forward, willing himself to appear before the man's soul. It is time, good soldier. You are now to pass beyond, he said with a sad smile. The soul before him seemed taken aback, but made no move. Instead, he was focused on the body he was tied to, pouring himself into it. Chubb sighed and reached out to the man's soul. It smacked his hand away. Chubbs was taken back. What was this? He firmly grabbed the arm of the alien. It's time to go, friend. Sorry. And with that, Chubbs opened his mouth. It was surprisingly easy to get the soul into his mouth. But then Chubbs started to gag. The human soul had wrapped his hands around Chubbs' teeth and began kicking with his back of his throat. Chubbs clamped down with all of his might, but the human soul swung his feet down and stomped on his tongue. With monumental effort, the soul held the death's jaws open. Chubbs did all he could, but eventually was forced to spit the soul out. What in the hell was that? He exclaimed between coughs. Swings only shrugged. You can't force yourself on them. They've been in battle. They need to be caressed. Like this, Hansi said, stepping forward. Good sir, your fight is over, the Blue Death said as he stroked the soldier's soul soothingly. The soul shuddered with pleasure in response. It is time you move on from here. Hansi slowly bent to pick up the poor soul, to cradle it, and slowly break it away from the tether to the body. But before he could lift the soul completely, it seemed aware of what was happening, and unceremoniously pushed Hansi away and to the floor before returning to the light about his body. Swings had had enough. He cracked his neck and summoned forth his scythe. He stepped slowly forward and announced himself in a voice of rolling thunder. Come! The sand is at an end. It is time. The soul seemed to recognize this version of death, and he dropped into a defensive crouch. The light of the soul pulsated faster, and from the soul's chest it drew a sword of its own essence. Armor seeped out of the soul for protection, and, alarmingly, the two spectres' deaths charged at Swings with a war cry. The charge was easily parried, and Swings swung for the tether between it and the body on the table. But a quick leap caused the blow to miss. The soul was quick, but Swings was quicker. Not only that, but his two friends noticed that Swings kept looking around, taking in all of his surroundings. The duo felt Swings was being more cautious than he needed to be, until a quick dodge left the soul's tether open. Swings lifted his scythe, but was sucker-punched in the back of the head and dropped to the floor. It took a full second for Chubbs and Hansi to realize what had happened, but from their slack-jawed stupor, they found themselves staring at two souls battling Swings. They traced the trail back to the doctor working on the human, his soul no longer surrounding his own body, but stretched to aid the fight. Slowly, the two souls fought for one as Swings deftly fought a defensive battle, always aiming for the tether of the soul that he'd been tasked with taking. A feint, a parry, a swing, a dodge, the two souls not giving an inch to their own manifestation of death. Clash after clash was made, but it was becoming clear Swings was learning and beginning to find openings. The dodges were becoming easier and the riposts coming quicker. In an amazing move, Swings spun away from the sword thrust, kicked the doctor out of the way, and swiped upwards with his scythe, nicking the edge of the silver thread, but not severing it. The doctor's soul raged in a fury, and Chubbs and Hansi saw his mortal body suddenly leap on top of the soldier on the table, pressing hard onto the soldier's chest. With a brutal battery of lightning-quick punches, the soul of the doctor came at Swings again. From the table, the doctor was yelling, "Come on, damn it! Don't let that son of a bitch win!" With a slip and a jab, and then a strong right hook, the doctor's soul landed Swings on the ground, sliding on his back, and then twirling to his feet. Death got back up. The soldier's soul was injured, and with not much in the way of offense to give, Swings knew it was only a matter of time. The doctor's soul fought hard, but an inch of overextension, and Swings sidestepped him, tripped him with the bust of his scythe, and raced forward. In a practice swing, he severed the silver cord, and the soul was free at last. Chubbs and Hansy let out a breath that they didn't even notice that they were holding when a new cry of rage was heard. The nurse's soul, who had been working alongside the doctor, lashed out and grabbed the soldier's severed soul by the arm. The doctor's soul jumped up and began pummeling Swings, but each strike seemed less and less effective. The nurse was desperately trying to lead the soul back to the soldier's body, but a single skeletal hand snatched the other arm of the soldier's soul, and with a jerk ripped it away from the nurse. The doctor's soul, seeing his blows having less and less effect, began to slow until they eventually stopped, and his soul lighted once more about his mortal body. The nurse's soul followed suit, and only the severed soul of the soldier remained seemingly paralyzed. Swings took a deep breath and saluted the soul. "Come," he said. The soul obeyed without further protest, and followed Swings down the corridor of light. Swings walked up beside his two friends, watching the soul leave into the light with another essence of himself. "See what I mean? They don't go quietly. Never have, never will." Chubbs and Hansy looked at Swings for a long moment before Hansy broke the awkward silence. Why? Why do they do this? How do they do it? Swings shrugged. "It's in their nature, I suppose. Maybe some evolutionary trait they picked up along the way. Who the hell knows? But you see what I mean now?" They both nodded. "See you back at the bar tonight, then," Swings said. "Remind me, and I'll tell you of the horror story about the one soldier named Desmond Doss. He's the bastard that gave me this," he said, as he pulled back the cowl of his robe to show a cracked left cheekbone. He ran the length of it over the bony finger before letting the cowl fall back again. "Anyways, see you tonight. Lots of work to do." And with that, Swings walked away. Chubbs and Hansy stood in stunned silence for a moment before running off to Swings. Wait a minute. How in the hell did he even mark you?" End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my videos. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members. Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Casper Onholtz, White Van 420, Lord Asrakal, Arcadian, and Oakfield.